Good morning. Good morning. I am so delighted to see everyone gathered here today. My name is Amy Slagle, and I serve here as the chair of the Sunday Services Committee. And I'm very happy to be part of this recognition today. We really want to welcome everyone here for this gathering in honor of Kent McKusick and his ministry with us for the past 10 years. We really want to send him off with our good wishes and a caffeine and sugar buzz and on his way to retirement. Today, I am going to share some opening memories from Sarah Carlson, who really wishes very much that she could be with us this morning. And then we will have some reflections. Well, we'll do on and off again.
It's a clicker conspiracy.
Yes. That's what we'll try. Thank you. We were fine at rehearsal, of course. There we are. Yeah, I've turned it on and off. Thanks. So I'll be sharing some of these memories from Sarah Carlson, and then we will have some reflections from Jamie Gerganis, Sam Wormley, and Mary Richards. You all know that Rilla Fox has been gathering some items for a memory book, and that will be presented to Kent this morning. We've also been creating a timeline. It was compiled by the Kearsons, and with Janelle's magic has turned into this incredible poster over there on the right-hand side. Today, we will also have an opportunity for an open mic time where you can share some brief memories, appreciations, and good wishes for Kent. And the RE children have a special treat for Kent at the end. We'll begin the festivities with these reflections from Sarah Carlson. I am transforming to Sarah Carlson. I served on the search committee with Linda Barnes, Peggy Earnshaw, Jamie Gerganis, Mark Harmison, Andrew Williams, and Brenda Witherspoon when we called Kent McKusick as our minister in late spring of 2012. A lot has happened in 10 years. Kent, since that time, you've worked with many different configurations of board leaders and committees, and we've had a few changes in our staffing. I helped with planning through your October 2013 installation, along with Kathy Gandy and Jamie Gerganis, with the theme of deepening connections. Many in the congregation may not know that Kathy Gandy presented Kent with a clerical stole and tie that was fashioned from the official McKusick tartan. At the very beginning of your ministry with us, we had an active and engaged campus young adult group. Many of the congregation may remember some of those in that group, including Birch Spick, who now belongs to the Des Moines UU Church. The group met over a weekly potluck lunch right after the 11 a.m. service each week, accommodating an array of dietary needs, including vegan, soy, nut, pea, and gluten allergies. Most weeks, Kent, you joined the group and engaged in our lively conversations about our own stories and all sorts of both light and heavy topics. Favorite characters from the latest Netflix binge shows, other current movies, notable documentaries, current events, individual life goals. How do we live into each of our principles? Would you want to live forever? The zombie apocalypse. Discussions about the sermons, family, traumas, and life transitions. Your participation made a difference to the group, and the group felt close and supported and known by their minister. And I am thrilled when I see some of them occasionally return home to us in a virtual service from across the country. During your time with us, we developed the UUFA mission, vision, and covenant statements. Redeveloped, I guess, in some sense. This is not an easy thing to do, as we have so many wordsmiths among our congregation, and it is easy to get stuck on conflicts. These conflicts can make for deep discussions of intention and can actually energize commitments. We made it through the process for each of these statements, and I am deeply grateful for your hard work from the congregation leaders at that time and the guidance we received from you. We should all now know our mission. Anybody who can say it with me. Growing spiritually, creating community, striving for justice, learning to love. And our covenant shapes how we can remain in right relations with each other. Okay, so no group exists without conflict, without hurt feelings, despite good intentions. Sometimes we revert to fight or flight behaviors. Our covenant and principles call us to lean into promoting the inherent worth and dignity of every person, acceptance of one another, encouragement to spiritual growth, and a free and responsible search for truth and meaning, even if my views about the truth are different than yours. Sometimes we can be tempted to just throw up our hands and leave a community when we get frustrated or don't particularly like a change, a specific focus, or feel hurt by words spoken or actions taken, whether intended or not. You and I have developed a phrase, remaining at the table of discomfort, reminding each other that it is important to work out differences with mutual respect, realizing that when we feel discomfort, it is an opportunity for us to embrace the discomfort and learn from the experience and grow. We've come to say, okay, I'm remaining at the table of discomfort. I'm inviting you to sit at the table of discomfort with me. Let's meet at the table of discomfort. During the entire ministry together, I've been part of the Sunday Services Committee, of which the minister is an integral part. If you want to be part of deep and challenging conversations about theological questions, world perspectives, personal insights, you should join the Sunday Services Committee. Thank you, Sarah, for that ad. You should join the Sunday Services Committee.
If you haven't been asked by Sarah Carlson directly to be on that committee, please raise your hand.
We have fun and build positive energy off of each other. We get to understand what being a minister is like, hear thought processes of various decisions and building a service and integrating themes. Kent, you introduced us to the Soul Matters sharing circles, where we follow ministry themes in Sunday services and integrate those themes into our small group ministry. I've recently become closer to you in the last few years with other leadership roles, such as board, vice president, president, interim president, and now past president. Thank you, Sarah. And I've grown personally through all of these experiences. Thank you. So thank you, Sarah, for those reflections. I want to invite Jamie to come.
All right, hello everybody. So much like Sarah, I started to get to know Kent as part of the search committee that I was on. And when we didn't get a match in March for our minister, we were just so delighted when Kent was brought to us and we were able to call him as our minister. So here's a picture of the search committee celebrating at the Barnes Runquist. And you know, after we took these silly pictures, we sent them right to Kent. And so we did have a lot of fun, maybe sometimes too much fun, on the search committee. So after Kent was called, another time I got to know him really well was during the pre-candidating week when Sarah and I drove him to Cedar Falls for the neutral pulpit visit. And Kent probably remembers being given the distinct pleasure of being able to interact and play with my guide dog Ellie, because she was retiring right after I got back from that visit that weekend. So so that was Ellie. Kent has seen me through 3 guide dogs. That's how long he's been here. But after he started, I was honored to be on his first and now his last board. And then in between, he and I worked together on numerous committees as well as many special events together. So most of my personal memories with Kent are in the memory book. But one thing I wanted to let all of you know is that how much, Kent, I really appreciated you for always seeing my abilities rather than my disability. And you did such a wonderful job. In the blind community, finding a sighted person who does it as easily and as well as you is a rare gem. So thank you for that. So I want to take you back, like Kent did last week, to his very first service with us on August 26th, 2012. And Kent, I see that I did the board welcome that day. So see, he put a lot of faith in me that I wouldn't mess up his very first service. Because I had to memorize everything. So Kent, part of that sermon, you talk about unpacking a box that was filled with memories from your time as a wilderness guide. And I'm going to, sorry, maybe I'm not the papers. I'm going to paraphrase from your colleague Peter Baldwin's book, Gleanings. I'm making a mess up here. Don't leave me in front of things. And Peter Baldwin had this book, Gleanings. I'm going to paraphrase everything so I don't misquote him. But the story goes that there was a wilderness guide that was lost in the woods, and he comes upon another wilderness guide, and he says, "Oh, good, you're a wilderness guide. You can help me out of this place. I'm lost." And the other wilderness guide says, "Well, I'm lost too." And so then they have this big discussion about how they're going to find their way out of the wilderness. And the one finally says, "Well, what are we going to do?" And the other one says, "Well, let's sit down by this fire, dry off your socks and shoes. We'll make a cup of tea and we'll make some memories. And so that when we finally figure out how to proceed from this place, we'll have made memories that make us a little sad to be leaving a place that we've felt at home." So Kent, I consulted with James about a gift that would be meaningful to you, and I came up with this. So when you are pondering how to find your way through the wilderness of retirement life, we want you to be sipping on coffee, not tea, because we know you're a coffee drinker, from your subscription to the Drift Away Coffee Club. And here is, I don't know where it is, over there somewhere, Amy. Yep, here is your first box of coffee, and it's called the Explorer box. And it has samples of a lot of their popular kinds of coffee, and then you will get to decide which one you want to complete your profile for what you get over the next year, and also where it should be sent, because since we don't know where you're going to be, you'll get to fill that out. So anyways, and part of this gift too, Clara Osi wants to present something from the RE kids. So Clara, you want to come up? Or do you want to just take it over to Kent? You want to give it to Kent, or do you want to skip to the mic? Yeah. So do you want to open it now, Ken? Because it's really cool. It's too rough. Oh, okay.
So it's a
All right.
lovely mug that says, "Sometimes you forget you're awesome, so this is your reminder."
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'll also share that my nieces, who know me probably better than when you gave me kitchen towels that say, "I drink coffee for your safety."
Yeah, so, well, I'm hoping you'll find coffee from this coffee club so you won't miss Morning Bell so much. So anyway, so I'm not done. So another part of this service, you talk about forming relationships with things and you like to be surrounded by things that embody memories of people, places, and times in your life. And and I also really liked the closing words from this first service, and Amy is going to read them.
Right. Thank you. As you prepare to leave this sacred space, pack away a piece of this church in your heart. Wrap it carefully like a precious gem. Carry it with you through the joys and sorrows of your days. Let its gentle glow strengthen you, warm you, remind you that all that is good and true until you gather here again in this place of love.
Thanks,
Very
Amy.
nice.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah. So I pondered and pondered what would be a sacred object from this place that would bring you memories and leave you, with memories of this place. And I finally figured it out, but I had to first figure out how I was going to see if that was a possibility of having it done. So I called and talked with Mary Richards and Ginny Mulgard, and they're members of the Conscientious Crafters. And I told them of my idea and whether this could be a possibility. And Ginny said, "Oh, we made that in honor of his installation here, so he should leave with it. And I'll make you another one." So there, we promised that. So Kent, you get to take the Spirit of Life wall hanging from room 3. And I think we'll leave it there. Yeah. And so wherever you hang it, and wherever you are, hopefully it will bring memories of not only all the times we had committee meetings in that room, but also all the special memories from this place. So thank you for 10 years of wonderful ministry to us, and I'm sure going to miss you. Yeah.
There's the words from that first service that Kent shared with us. We now have the opportunity to hear a recorded message to Kent from Sam Wormley.
Kent and I often engaged in conversation with or without an agenda for long stretches of time. That has been so precious. Many times it felt like we were ministering to each other. There was one occasion that the ministering was all one way, Kent ministering to me. I had screwed up a booking for a dress rehearsal of the Central Iowa Symphony, leaving a whole orchestra without a place to rehearse hours before their concert. Stopping by Kent's office, Kent made time for me, noted I was beating myself up pretty badly, and gave me comfort and perspective. In the decade that Kent has been our minister, I have appreciated his reading of books and educating himself from the perspective of many writers. Kent has also been exceptional in his networking with colleagues nationally, in Iowa, and among the church leaders here in Ames. I had the privilege of directing the Fellowship Voices for a couple of years. We performed one of Robert Frost's poems, set to music by Randall Thompson, "Choose Something Like a Star." I had sung this piece in the 1960s as part of Iowa State Singers. I listened to recordings by Robert Shaw to give me guidance in bringing excellence to the music. Directing the piece was so emotional, bringing out the nuances of the words and notes. At the rehearsal before the services, David Slade wanted to go through the piece one more time. I convinced David it was too exhausting. Save our energy for the services. The fellowship voices came through with all I had asked of them. After the concluding measures by the accompanist, Barb Evenson, I felt Kent's hand on my shoulder saying, "Thank you." Please recall the beginning of the third week of March 2020. Like a major winter blizzard, everything started shutting down, only indefinitely. While I was working with the Osher Lifelong Learning Institute, the OLLI program, to find a way to teach spring classes virtually, Kent was finding a way to continue services for our congregation. Not only did he lead our transition in just a few days, but he went on to develop excellent services integrating music and text and imagery and keeping us together through this stressful time. Not just spectators, but binding us together, even in our own homes. By traveling to Tortot Falva and regular communications, Kent has strengthened our relationship with our partner church. This spring, with millions of Ukraine war refugees pouring into Poland and Romania, our congregation has given more than $10,000 to help our partner church feed and house many of those in their time of need. Kent, thank you for personal inspiration and for all you have given us. Thank you.
And our next words come from Mary Richards.
So these comments will also be in the memory book, but in the third person. I'm going to put them here in the first person. In half of its existence as an organized group, the UU Fellowship of Ames has been guided by 3 settled ministers. By coincidence, those 3 have represented what might be described as the 3 phases of a ministerial career. The first, Sydney Amara Morris, initiated our ministerial experience at the beginning of her career, fresh out of seminary, full of enthusiasm, new ideas, and musical talent that she freely shared. Our second minister, Reverend Brian Esslinger, came to us mid-career. After exploring other paths and talents, he shared his thoughts and spiritual growth with us and helped us grow as well before he transitioned to a professorial role and continued his life journey. Now we near the end of a decade in which you have shown us how a ministerial calling can be used to triumphantly cap a life previously dedicated to other interests and other ways of earning a living before you turn to a well-earned retirement. You arrived after we had experienced a somewhat bumpy 2-year interim ministry. I see some of you remember that time. But after a usual amount of learning of the lay of the land and getting to know your new flock, you quickly began to share your experiences and wisdom amassed over a lifetime of exploration of the natural world, of human interaction, and of self-discovery. And that sharing has been made so rich because of your love of and your talents in the theater arts. Who can forget your delightful interpretation of children's books during Time for All Ages? Who has not been enthralled at some time by your storytelling skills in recounting your own and others' life lessons? You have embraced and encouraged church members to live out the 7 principles through social action and personal reflection, And now that the congregation has embraced and adopted the spirit of the eighth principle, you have devoted a great deal of time teaching yourself and us how we can best live into that one as well. You have demonstrated that it's possible and important to grow personally and to acknowledge and change one's behavior when appropriate, no matter one's age, level, experience, or power, the last of which a congregation's minister holds by virtue of the position. You've certainly demonstrated that you're never too old to meet challenges and learn new skills. And here, I'm thinking of the once-in-a-century challenge that was posed by the COVID-19 pandemic, which Sam has already mentioned, and its devastating social as well as physical consequences. You have led us through this difficult period and learned the skills necessary to create and edit services that were initially all virtual and later, and in the even more demanding, hybrid format. You have encouraged us to extend our reach beyond the physical boundaries of central Iowa. So, we as a congregation can look at our experience during this decade of your leadership as one of learning to seek continued growth, no matter what our stage in life, individually and collectively. Hail and farewell, Reverend Kent. Go into retirement with our good wishes and gratitude.
Thank you, Mary. And now, Rilla Fox will present a memory book.
Kent, when I started imagining this event, I thought, let's give Kent a memory book. In order for you to fully appreciate it, I want you to know what I had in mind. I planned to go to Staples and buy a 3-ring binder. It could be filled with a timeline and emailed printouts of messages and photos. I thought, let's just keep it simple. Then I ran the idea by Bradley. and he ran the idea by Janelle. You can guess what happened. The memory book is not simple. This memory book is beautiful. Not only Bradley and Janelle's hard work made this beautiful, it is filled with beautiful messages and photos from dozens of people who hold you dear. If you ever had any doubts that you have been important and appreciated, this book will dispel those doubts. I hope it gives you hours of pleasure, Kent. And I want to thank Bradley, Janelle, and all of you whose contributions kept this from being simple.
And Sue and Larry Kierson created a timeline they'll share with you.
When we volunteered to do a timeline, it didn't seem like a big deal. You know, engineers do lines, you know, you put a point here, you put a point there, there's your timeline. Well, when the information started coming together, Sue didn't think it fit the linear timeline. So we tapped the same well that Rita did, and with the creative inputs of Janelle and Bradley, we now have a thyme tree and flower garden. Isn't that cool? So Sue is the expert on flowers, and I'll let her talk about that.
Just a quick overview. Each flower represents a staff member employed by this fellowship during Kent's tenure. A total of 15 people, which surprised us when we got it together. Kent, I know you'll love having the record of those people and maybe even thinking about their idiosyncrasies.
I'm sure they're thinking.
I can only highlight 3 people this morning because there's so many. And I will start with Barb Evenson, who is over here on the far left. She has a big flower because she served the longest. Our accompanist for 14 years, she began well before Kent's arrival and retired just 1 year ago. Janelle Carlson, also a big flower, but on the right, has the most intriguing trajectory. Janelle began here as a child care provider just months after Kent came. Kent, I know you saw her potential for holding more responsibility, and she was named RE coordinator in 2015. 4 years later, Janelle and her husband left for his job. Returning to Iowa a year ago, and to our grateful astonishment, Janelle was available and willing to join our staff again and has served this past academic year, and she will also be leaving at the end of June. Just one more person, another big flower there at the top, Bradley Duckstein, congregational administrator, has been on our staff since October 2014. Kent, I know you feel that Bradley keeps you organized and makes you look good. The rest, this is the other thing I have to say. The rest of us feel that Bradley keeps us organized and makes us look good. So, kudos on hiring Bradley, but all these other wonderful people as well. Back to you, Larry.
Okay, we're going to climb the thyme tree here. I won't deal with all of the leaves, but just want to highlight a few of the items as we move along there. The 2012 to 2014, obviously that's the beginning. Jamie has already highlighted the initial surface very eloquently. It was also in 2013, we had the ordination of Kent, and I'm sure that is a very important leaf on the tree. Installation. It says ordination. Okay. And then, of course, we had the marriage of Kent and James, and that is a very significant leaf on this tree. James, I guess you didn't know you were going to become a leaf when you took that on. So moving on up, this 2015 to 2017 shows the maturing of the ministry of Kent and some of the programs and activities that he was involved with that formed the basis for the subsequent years of activity. Here we have the pilgrimage to Tortofova, had trouble with that, which Sam has already mentioned, and here it is important to recognize that these leaves are not just events, but they are connections with people. And the memories that came back to us through Kent's services and his remembrances and his photographs gave us a very close connection with the congregation in Romania. Also, that was the year, the 2019 of Kent's sabbatical. And again, that brought back many, many events, memories, people to this congregation that enriched us greatly. So those are just a couple of highlights from that spell. In in 2020, we've already talked about the total turning over of the order of things. The world essentially closed down in March of 2020, and Kent responded admirably in turning us into a Zoom service and then to a hybrid service. And I still don't know how he did it, but that's an amazing accomplishment.
Admirably is an engineering term.
Okay, and here we are with 2021, our 75th anniversary, and moving forward to where we are today at 2022. And we're looking down the branch at the last service, which will be next week, and then beyond. And certainly this is not the end. There will be additional branches on this tree. Kent and James will be starting a different branch, maybe even a different tree, who knows? And the congregation will be starting a branch with AJ. So we're looking forward to that. But most of all, we want to thank Kent for the foundation that he has provided for the 10 years of activities and people and events that he has brought to us. It has been a wonderful experience. Thank you very much, and best wishes.
Thank you so much, Sue and Larry. I think he's going to spend some time on Twitter. I think that's what's involved by the birds and the trees at the top. We have a handful of minutes left, like literally a handful, 5-6 minutes left, that we really do want to have some open mic opportunity before we show the religious education video to close and give us just a short break before we start our service, which we will do sitting at tables. We're not going to try to, so don't be worried, you have to roll up tables. We're going to draft everybody into those efforts before the service. But please, if you want to share a memory. We do. Let's do that first, shall we? Reverend Leos, I hear that you are available to join us this morning. Welcome, and if we could.
Good morning. I prepared some words for you, if you don't mind. Can you hear me? Okay. Dear Kent, James, brothers and sisters, dear friends, I am very happy to be with you today. It would be much better if I could shake your hands to give an everything-telling hug for each of you, especially to him who says hello. But still, I am very honored to attend your service in such an important day. After Brian left many years ago, from the first message Kent had sent to me, I understood, I felt that the fellowship remained in good hands. and the new minister is also very committed to work in the partner church field. So we started to correspond, to talk, to write, to share our feelings, to forward messages to each other's congregations, to share our prayers for love, peace, justice, and faith. And we did our best together with our other members of the fellowship and leadership to strengthen each other in our common faith, to support each other in our hard way in a not easy world. The most significant time was when you came for a visit in our village. We served together, we prayed together, and we could spend some precious time together. Today, in the name of Tordatfalva and Cseidfalva people, I would like to thank you again for your love, care, and support. With your help, we could run beautiful projects, programs, and we felt ourselves safe because next to our God, there was always a very strong and living community, our partners, brothers, and sisters, who was there for us. Constructions, transportation, scholarship, children camping, elderly warm meal program, refugee shelter preparation, just some projects that are the fruits of our common work. Thank you for this, and thank you Kent, for being leader in this and so inspiring for all. Dear Kent, there is a story in the Bible about Elijah who reaches the holy hill after a very hard journey. There the Lord put him on the top of the hill and comes to him, toward to him. First, there is a powerful wind, but God is not in the wind. After that, there is an earthquake, then a fire, but God is not in it, not in them. After he covers his face with his cloak, he hears a gentle voice, and God is in that gentle voice. What are you doing here, Elijah? You had this wonderful journey of service, and now you are on the holy hill. You will start a new life, but I believe God and the service will be with you. Please listen carefully. As you know, God is not in thunder. He is not in gunshots, in yelling, but he is in love and in peace. And you will hear his voice when you will really need it. This whisper will follow you and will makes your way very, very blessed. I pray for this. You will leave the fellowship, but you will never leave the community, and you will never leave our heart, because with your love, understanding, humanity, and actions, you sealed your memory so significant in our heart that we will never forget it. We will never forget you. We will never let you go from our heart. Instead, we will keep your love always alive. In the name of my people, Tunde and myself, I would like to thank you for all. Your mission here was completed well. Have all blessings on your following life. Do not forget to write, and please remain our friend. Please pray continuously for peace and bring with you our love into the following journey. Thank you for all, and God bless you. Isten áldjon. Amen.
I want to insert something very important here. You may have wondered why Amy was Sarah Carlson there for a minute. The reason is that Sarah was originally scheduled to be our host and MC. I had a call from her yesterday afternoon that she was at the hospital with her husband who was awaiting surgery. I think gallbladder surgery. And about within an hour, I called Amy and said, Amy, could you step in and take over this role? And there was a little bit of a silence, and I thought maybe she was in shock, but she came back very briefly and said, sure. I think Amy deserves a lot of appreciation.
And now, at the risk of disappointing people, I see it is 10:51. We know that we have people who expect to be able to join us for our service at 11 o'clock from afar. And so I think that I want to ask our Facebook group to capture any chat messages that people joining us that way, so that we'll be able to add those to the memory book, and Kent will have them. And I believe that Kent has promised to, hang around some today, so that we can share our well wishes in individual comments with him in person there. So I think with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn to our RE moment.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
I know that we want to remember those times that we sang the kids out, and now they're singing Kent out this morning. What a wonderful, wonderful gift. Kent, you've always reminded us to keep our lights shining. Our Sunday service will begin in about 5 minutes with, again, the same seating around the tables. If you need another cup of coffee, some water, a restroom break, there are restrooms upstairs and downstairs. And we will reconvene here at 11 o'clock. Thank you, Kent.